Handling the Dead is a brand new 2024 horror film from Norway, and this is about a group of three different families who have members of their family who are deceased and are no longer deceased. They come back from the dead. And oh boy. Okay, so this is a really artsy, slow burn film that is going to be absolutely for a very specific crowd. But for the most part, this film is going to bore most people to tears. The people that it resonates with will love it. So if you're a big fan of like super ultra slow burn, melodic type of drama-centric horror films that have subtext for you to analyze and interpret, then this is definitely the film for you. I personally was mostly bored with this film. There isn't a word of dialogue for the first 20 minutes. And hey, don't get me wrong. I love slow burn films if they're intriguing and engaging to me. The Babadook bores the hell out of some people. I adore it. I think it's a freaking masterpiece. So it's not that I'm against these more subtle horror films that have a lot to say. I just didn't personally find any connection to what the film was trying to say. I think I got it for the most part. It deals with grief and whatnot. I just really did not connect with the characters in this at all. And I think that's my issue, right? With something like The Babadook, Essie Davis's character in that, even though I may not relate to her as a parent, I can absolutely feel her character and what she's going through, and I connect with it in that way, to where I'm completely engaged by what's going on in her life, and it makes me want to analyze the film. It makes me want to look deeper into the subtext, to read between the lines, to analyze, interpret. This one just doesn't. It just doesn't. I found myself to be very bored and unengaged because we don't really get to know these families all that well. As I said, for the people it works for, I think they're going to have a very opposite opinion of me, and they're going to come at me like, you know, I'm some mouth breather who just doesn't understand artsy, smart, intelligent films, and all I want is jump scares and this and that. It's just not the case, and you can think that all you want. It's just not my brand of filmmaking style. You know, films like Terrence Malick's films, like Tree of Life and whatnot, that shit just bores me. Maybe it's brilliant and I'm just too dumb to get it. Whatever it may be, I can't deny that I'm not engaged. I'm not entertained. I'm not feeling a desire to try to figure out what it all means. That all being said, though, there is some imagery in here that is pretty haunting. Something that reminded me of something out of one of my favorite horror films of the last decade, Terrified by Demian Rugna, who made last year's wonderful When Evil Lurks. He has this character in his movie that comes back from the dead as well, and it will always remain haunting imagery for me. And we have a similar scenario here because we have a kid who's brought back from the dead, and this kid is chilling, haunting to look at, and he gets more screen time than the kid in Terrified. I thought that was phenomenal. I think the makeup and the way the dead are handled in this is excellent, because this is like a deconstructed zombie film. And I really do appreciate that. And it actually bums me out that I'm not into this one and that I was so disengaged with it, because this is absolutely the kind of movie that could have worked for me had I been able to buy into the family more, right? There's multiple families in here. The one who brings their kid back from the dead, the mom, I liked her the most of them. But then this other family that we have with like this younger daughter who's like a shit to her mom, and like the boyfriend and all that, I wasn't into that almost at all. I just didn't care. And they took up the lion's share of screen time for me. And every time, at least that's the way it felt, because it just lingered and plodded along so slowly, that it just felt like it was never ending with them. And so for me, I was just kind of like sit back and I couldn't help but break out the phone, right? Maybe if I was in a theater, I would have been forced to just vibe with it. And because I'm at home and I have distractions, I gravitated towards those distractions as opposed to just letting myself be, have no other option but to focus on the film and let myself immerse myself in it. I don't think that would have happened. Even if I saw this in a theater, I think I would have left it bored, right? The same thing happened to me with the movie First Reformed, which I think is Ethan Hawke's movie, right? An A24 film. Another one of those, like, people who love that movie swear by it. They think it's like one of the best movies made in the last like decade. And I'm sitting there like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's so boring. There's so little happening. But as I said, there's going to be people who watch this and they think there's so much happening that's being interpreted between the lines there. And it's just, for me, I usually can read those things. But not with this one. I found this one to be way too dull, way too slow paced. Had we built a family dynamic that I was invested in, had I connected with the characters post and pre the deaths, and in a way that was like devastating when it happened, and then the return was more, impactful for me, but I'm so not connected. There's this other woman who has a woman who comes back for her, and it's sad. That's it. This whole movie is just a bummer. It's just a downer. It deals with grief. It deals with loss. It's kind of the sometimes dead is better Pet Cemetery kind of thing, or that you have going on here for sure. But God, it's so somber. It's so dire. It's so dour. It's just really an absolute bummer of an experience. And I know that's kind of what it's going for. But when that's mostly what you have to offer outside of some chilling imagery of the dead, which I do. Oh my God, that kid is definitely one of my most memorable things of the year. I think it's terrifying. I think the makeup on it is really unsettling, because I couldn't tell if that was like a person in prosthetics or if that was like a dummy that was being, puppeted, like an animatronic or something. I was having a hard time telling, but it was so uncanny. Like there was this uncanny valley effect happening, and it was tripping me out. So that stuff I was really into. And I feel like if you could have had that in a movie that I was really engaged with, and I was really buying into all of the rest of it, that the zombie stuff that's in here, I think is really solid. Really, really solid. So I'll give the movie its praise there. I just unfortunately found myself so unengaged for the rest of the film it's not enough to elevate it to a status where I can be like recommending it to people, being like, no, you just got to stick with it. If you get easily bored by films, you should avoid this like the plague. If you are super, super into extremely artsy, slow burn movies that you really, really got to just vibe with and read all of the subtext that's happening, then give this one a shot. But even for someone like me who likes that kind of stuff, here and there. I'm 50-50 on it. It can be a Saint Maud. It can be a Babadook. It can, like, I've watched The Dark and the Wicked. There's tons of movies that are super slow, but I love. I have a really good connection with. I think are, poignant and impactful. But yeah, god damn, I really wish I liked this one. I really, really wish that slow stuff wasn't so slow. But anyway, that's that. I mean, I feel like I'm reiterating the same thing over and over, but it's what needs to be said. I want to drive that point home for anybody who frequents this channel, because I know my audience, and a lot of my audience like more extreme films. They like a lot more going on in the movie, and that this one ain't gonna work for you. But if watch a trailer, I guess, see maybe, or just listen to what I'm saying and judge it accordingly from there. But always check it out for yourself if you're on the fence. I always implore people. There's so many movies that I would have missed had I listened to the general consensus. If you're somebody like me who's like, fuck it, I'm watching everything, I need to see it for myself, then you don't even need my channel. What's the point? Except for me to agree or disagree with you after you have already watched it. But if you're somebody who frequents the channel to be sold on a movie, then I think I've made it pretty clear what kind of movie this is, and if you would be interested in it or not. It's a tough kind of film to review, because I think there is an audience for this 100%, and my opinion is shit. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, this, I always try to do the best job I can to make this movie, the movie I'm talking about, or the TV show I'm talking about, appealing to the specific audience it may be catered towards. And then also to give my opinion for people who know me and my tastes. So anyway, there you go. Let me know. I'll see you in the comments. Bye.